everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going back into one of our favorite archetypes that we had for a while until Foundations came out. Made it really weird in playing different variations of blue-black outside of demons, or like the Agathis, or not Agathis Soul Cauldron deck. That's a meme deck. That's not what we're trying to do. Outside of just what Demir has been doing a lot of, and that's playing Kaito, but we are going to add that into our Eerie enchantment deck and see how well we can get it to pop off, along with a kind of synergy that I've discovered in Simic that I have felt has been pretty good. And we don't necessarily now have to splash white to play the other card that picks up our enchantments like a Fear of Isolation does. But what we get to do now is add this town. Ain't big enough, you know, ain't a word in our neighborhood, but apparently in Magic the Gathering it is. But we get to play Stormchaser's talent along with this, and honestly, Stormchaser's talent has brought a little bit of new life into the deck, as our creatures will now have prowess that we have. So when we do those turns of like play a Hopeless Nightmare, pick it back up with a Fear, cast it again, if we have Entity Tracker in play, that's drawing like a lot of cards, obviously. But now those creatures that we've made off the Stormchaser's talent are now dealing 2, 3, 4 damage apiece and can just close the game really quickly, unlike before where we still had to kind of grind them out with the Hopeless Nightmares. So that is that little synergy added into the deck. But overall, we are kind of just a deck that's really tight knit on what we are trying to do. And the card that I talked about was Entity Tracker, that can draw a card whenever an enchantment enters. Fear of Isolation, as an additional cast, you have to pick up a permanent, put it back in your hand, which works really well with Hopeless Nightmare, that says when it comes into play, your opponent loses 2 life and they discard a card. Same with like a Bandit talent, they discard 2. We're down to 2 of this instead of 4 that we've played in the past. But I do think this card is impactful enough to play some amount. But having too many copies of this, along with cycling Hopeless Nightmare, oftentimes you're playing this into an empty hand, and we just want to upgrade this all the way whenever we're ready, and we only need 1 or 2 of those to do that. And then a Nowhere to Run as our main source for removal, and just constantly picking it back up or bouncing their big creature that's out of Nowhere to Run's range, and then Nowhere to Run another creature is just great. Outside of that, we do have the Floodpits Drowner as a way to tap things down and shuffle it back in because of that stun counter that it does provide. 2 Faerie Masterminds for value, 2 Kaitos to kind of replace anything. We play 13 creatures, which is a little deceiving, as Stormchaser's talent does add onto that. And then if we play Stormchaser's talent and we pick it up, say with a this town ain't big enough, that's in more creatures that we have to immediately replace with Kaito. That is why we're on 2 of these instead of like 4 or something like that. But outside of that, our final additions in the deck are a Liliana of the Veil. We are playing 4 of this. Oftentimes our opponent's going to be empty-handed, or Liliana will make them that way. And we can oftentimes hopefully ult this just kind of naturally and then go from there. Outside of that, we play 1 Bottomless Pit as another bounce source. It just also help filling out the 1 mana slot to ensure that we always have something whenever it comes to this town ain't big enough, or a Fear of Isolation, because last thing we want to do with these is have this be 5 mana or have this pick up a land, even though sometimes we can still find value that way. A lot said and a lot done. With that said, we're going to hop into the games, see how they go. I hope you all enjoy it. We are playing this in Mythic currently, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Outside of that, let's just go make some lives miserable with some discards, you know what I mean? Not a whole lot going on, but we are first, I guess. A lot of basics. No double black for this, but we do get to play. Is that a double mull? I was talking about my hand and they mulliganed already, but I feel like they just immediately hit the button again. I could be wrong. They did. Okay. Plan, go. Means Bandit talent's going to be incredibly good. Play the multi-land here. Now Liliana will be good. Bandit's talent, just have you discard a little bit, you know. They put a pressure creature in play. No way. No way I gotta play against Squirming Emergence right now. Liliana. The thing to do is to take all their advantage away while we can't. Now I don't know what's going on. Plus, this will be the epitome of Liliana potentially putting all the pressure on. There goes a Virtue. I mean, it has to be some sort of reanimate, right? Here.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Uh-oh. Return up to 2. I don't know. I'm gonna cast this and try to win, I guess.
The housewarming party has arrived. Just try to keep up.
We really want this Liliana to plus and the Bane's talent to go off. Okay, they're a reanimator deck that... I don't know what's going on, bro. We're off to the races. On the play. Kaito kind of in hand. Lily in hand. We just need to find that extra little land. Not guaranteed by any means, but we do have functionally... We do have a functional hand to begin the game off with. We'll play our little talent. We'll call it a day. They have raccoon sleeves. Look at that, dude. What are you eating? What is it? The fish right there, bro. Is this dude eating a pickle? Like, feels like a weird one to choose off of a sandwich. But sure. Also, they haven't played anything. Okay. Nice. As soon as the timer hit, they made a play. Oh, yeah. My favorite type of gamer. Let's just go ahead and fire this off right away. We're in. Definitely need a land, of course. Oh, yeah. Is this what we're doing at 93% tile Mythic? Is just like waiting till the timer hits to make a play every time? Oh, it is what we're doing, isn't it? All right, cool. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe they were just busy. I don't know. It's so hard to tell because, like, life happens, brother. Like, you queue up a game and the next thing you know, your dog's in the other room throwing up and you're like, man, I got to go figure that out. They make that noise. That noise. I just made somebody freak out for a second. If that came up well in the mic. But if you don't have a dog, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Trust me, if you have a dog, you know what that noise was. As weird as it was for me to do. That is allowed. The police will not stop it. Do I just bounce it here? You just make them replay it, I guess. They're holding it as a blocker. Do I be mana efficient and do this town ain't big enough? And then what? What do I pick up? I don't know. I think this is funnier. Pick up. Down to 10. A little part of me wanted to do this because then I could play this and this, I guess. Hey, there's a challenger. There's a challenger. Okay. We're racing? Very cool. Oh, a land. Huge. I think I have to hold this town ain't big enough to save my life total, so we can put them to 8. We can pick this up on their turn, and then we can play it, cast it, or I can make them pick one up now, replay a Stormchaser, hit him for 6. And then I definitely have enough, and then I have a blocker back for a challenger, I guess. I don't know. Seems like a reasonable play. Six. And then now it's just like, I do have this town ain't big enough for the Hopeless Nightmare. Bounce into whatever blocker they leave back, unless they leave them all back, and then it's kind of like a weird case. Screaming Nemesis being the play I figured that was going to be made. And then now it's just like, all right, we got some cleaning up to do. We do this. Triple Otter's Prowess. Obviously, they could have a spell here. That gets removed. We cast this to make our creatures 3/3s. And then they'll obviously lose 2 off Hopeless Nightmare. Thankfully, our opponent... I haven't actually ran into it too much, but there's been like a couple of creators I've watched in Mythic that are like, every now and then you'll run into a player that just runs into the clock and then makes a play, and Arena doesn't really do anything to stop that, which is really annoying. But I thought that's what they were going to do. That's why I was like, hey, let's not do that. Then they didn't. They played. So, you know, hopefully their dog's doing okay. All right, here we are. We're ready to go. Yeah, sick. Sick hand. This is kind of the old-fashioned type of hand that we used to have, where we'll just start off with a Nightmare, hit their hand right away. Banner of Kinship, I think is what that card art is. Very cool card. A card that I always think is like 5 mana, but then is 3 mana or something. Is it? I don't remember. Green source. Could be that deck. Never know. Another green source. Okay, definitely possible to be that deck. We hit another land. Absolutely incredible. We just start off with the Bandit's talent. Liliana is going to be a bit weird. If it's mono green kind of creature stuff, I don't know if Liliana playing and plussing is quite where I want to be. I definitely want to play it when I can minus it. To get rid of an elf, it's elves. Okay, Liliana going to find a lot of problems in this matchup because too many elves make too many, like, other elves. For example, like the one they just got rid of. If they control another elf, it makes another creature, which obviously kind of in of itself negates Liliana. We're going to play this here. We're full 8 rack right now, kind of controlling the board as we can. As they play another elf, as it's not 2 mana one. Well, what do we go for here? They didn't play a land, so Bandit's talent's not necessarily going to get us anywhere. I think it's just play a nowhere to run and honestly do nothing with our Liliana. Like, I don't even think I want to... Do I even do anything? Do I just play this and upgrade my talent? I think so. Am I going to bounce the talent? Probably not, considering what we've already done. And I'll just hold on Liliana for the turn. Because we know this isn't going to hit a land in their hand because they haven't hit one yet, correct? Like, we know for a fact that there's nothing of value to be obtained there. So now we're just like here to here. Just bounce that, pick up cards, move to combat, hit for 2. And then we just kind of wait, shoot down whatever they play. And then maybe we can find a way to empty our hand. Sure. Obviously remove that. Now, Elves is definitely a resilient deck because they do play Genesis Wave. So if they are able to just find cards to do the wave nonsense, obviously they'll run into a lot of good things. Let us just upgrade this, and I'm going to hit them for 1. Liliana might actually now be able to plus. I'll just get rid of my extra Lily. We're finally getting to the point of just being able to plus, maybe. And even lands here, I might just keep a hold of just to plus Lily and throw in the bin. Hey, speaking of it, there it is. Tyvar, this can get indestructible, but cannot dodge our Liliana minus. We can, does it get? Tap it, gains indestructible until in a turn. It does not get around a nowhere to run, so it is definitely fine overall. Let us plus first. Get rid of our land here.
You won't be outsmarting me.
They get rid of a second Tyvar. Okay. This doesn't really do much for him right now, so I guess I'm just fine with, like, letting it happen. We're going to see kind of how this turn pans out, I think. Because if they go for... That's fine. They do the smart play. I do think there will be a little bit of problems here for them. So they bounce that. We get to play the Hopeless Nightmare and plus Lily here. Or we can even minus Liliana, but I don't know if that's the play. I think it's just definitely a plus. Or I can still plus a Liliana, actually. Yeah, so let's minus here. Target you. Sacrificing, obviously, the token. There's not really a whole lot else to sacrifice. And then they'll keep Tyvar here for obvious reasons. And then they'll lose Tyvar anyway. Or they get rid of Tyvar, but they're going to lose it regardless, whatever this last card happens to be. And I'm gonna keep my little otter back because attacking's not super positive. Take 2. I could have attacked for 3 with this pressure online, but now I'm going to be drawing 2 cards a turn, which makes our Liliana obviously good. They could Genesis Wave for 1, I guess. Actually, I don't even know if the mana works out too well. Totally down to just trade that off. That just means like future things are great. Oh my gosh, what disgusting draws. Another Genesis Wave and second Nightmare. Could have held it, I guess. Just plus on an empty hand. It keeps that around so we can plus if they try to hold a card again. Sure. Now Liliana dies, which is fine. They have to find something.
Isn't how things were supposed to go.
We draw 2. I guess we just buy back this town. Or I can just play a second talent and then pop one of these Hopeless Nightmares on instep, which I definitely like doing more. Like a little dude in the turn. They have like a very small window here. Yeah, not really gonna do much. Obviously, let's crack this. Elves and Mythic, by the way, is like the sickest thing. Just block, protect life total, no more stop needed. We draw 2. Sure, we cast, we pick up, we cycle, just do it quick. Not going to play the last card. I'm just going to let the game end here. And we get it. Very cool. Tearing apart the Elves' hand. They missed a land, so they couldn't necessarily get like a 1 drop down and then play the 2 drop to get a lot of Elves online. For example, that time they had 2 mana. If they had this card in the hand, but they were prioritizing playing the 2 drops because they're obviously a bit better than that card because they can make a mana off of themselves. If they were able to actually just establish this along with this, our Liliana obviously would have had a lot less value there than it got, but we end up coming away with the win. Very cool. Hand is a bit reliant on needing to draw a card or 2. Oh, nice land. That has tiny bones on it. One of the reasons we might be relying on drawing a land. We'll play here. We'll play this. We can kind of reset the balance on bouncing tokens and stuff if this is pure skeletons here. I will trade off the creature. No real reason to leave it around. Blue-black, so probably playing Mockingbird. Mockingbird. Taking Miner, sure. Maybe a cut down? No, another conscript. Of course they attack, I'm blocking all day. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Especially because it'll take the descend away from the enchantment they have, and maybe that's their idea. We want them to attack. I think attacking, depending on what their hand is, obviously we don't know all the information, but I feel like attacking is the worst play, or not as good of a play as it could be. But obviously we're going to play here. I could hold this town a big enough, which might actually be a better play regardless, so let's do that. Because if they do play the enchantment, I'm going to have to bounce the token, take like a big slug for a turn, I think. I don't know, because then they just get to pick it back up. There's that token, which sucks, obviously. Sure. Obviously, we're just out here trying to figure stuff out. Bounce. No spell pierce in my elo, please. You do need something like a Hopeless Nightmare things. Liliana not necessarily the best here because they'll just sacrifice this and then they get a free tutor, which is not really where we want to be. We need to establish some threats out here, or just some stuff that could block cleanly, like a Fear of Isolation. Like this card just blocks so nicely into 2/1s. Now, obviously, if they have the enchantment, we run into a lot of problems, but they didn't play it last turn, which I feel like is almost a guarantee, but maybe they were playing around the counter spell like the cheap ones, which would obviously make a lot of sense. We are blue-black. It is very possible that we do play those type of counter spells. We're just kind of hoping they don't have it. The 2/1 skeleton does have menace. The only way the conscripts come back is if a non-skeleton creature dies. Return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Activate if a non-skeleton creature died under your controller's turn. Okay. Now, this is an enchantment, so it is killable by Go for the Third. It's also cut downable. Maybe that's what they're deciding on. Liliana could be played and then maybe picked up, but I still think like maybe playing the Talon again, doing another Fear of Isolation is the move. Ooh. Flying Tutu. Okay, so they messed it up a little. You don't actually have to pay 2 mana there. You just have to pay 1 blue. A mistake I made a couple of times with Mockingbird. So it says you may have Mockingbird enter as a copy of a creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast this. This does not say how much mana you spent in the X. So they only actually had to spend 1. That's perfectly fine. Like, obviously, you know, they can do what they need to. Honestly, are we just like Fear of Isolating like this entire thing at this point? I think the answer is probably yes. Suspicious creature also cannot block, by the way. So we can attack with this. We can see if they want to block, but it's also just a good blocker, so we can just hold. Even if they do play the enchantment, we will find blocks to make. But the last thing I want to do is give them this to tutor on. Okay. I didn't realize that this was a card we were allowed to play. Nor have I ever played that card. This creature is chosen type in addition to its other types. Okay. Sure. That's pretty sick. Alright. Well, obviously I think we have some blocks to make. We're going to lose some creatures, but that's okay. Now, how do I want to block? Do I want to double block like this? Now, this is a skeleton, so it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. So, I have a feeling that blocking this makes sense. And blocking like this makes sense. Is this the way we want to do this? I could block and kill the ground creature, but then I lose like one of my flyers, and then I can't trade off the other flyer. So, yeah, I think it's like this. Even though I do know I have the Fear of Isolation coming up, it's just kind of the thing I don't want to have to deal with. I'm going to assign damage however, but obviously damage is going to be assigned pretty easily overall. At least in my mind it is. Now at some point we will have to play Liliana and just let them tutor, but I do think a lot of our kind of win condition happening right now is based on the fact that they don't have that case yet. Or the enchantment. Turn the TV back on, please. It's scary out here. But we'll play our whole hand out, because honestly, it might get to the point with Liliana that we just like play it and start plussing. At some point, this 3/2 we will have to block, unfortunately, because obviously, it's lethal in 4 turns, and if they play more adaptive automatons, then like we run into a ton of problems. We do get to play land, activate the talent, and then we can get the bounce back. So that's pretty good. So we can bounce like the token on their end step, so the case doesn't solve, because I believe it's at the beginning of the end step. Solve. Here. If unsolved, solve it at the beginning of your end step. So yeah, we can wait till end step, bounce a creature, then bounce it, or we can let it get solved on that turn, and then we'll just have to deal with the repercussions of whatever they get, and have to try to outvalue them that way. Unsure. Okay. There's still skeletons, obviously. So I just want to super isolate this Forsaken Miner and just block with everything. If I block in the way that just one Fear of Isolation blocks it, then it's like trouble, right? Do it like this. You can only kill 1. Then if they commit a crime, they can bring it back. Is there another one in there? No. Oh yeah, because it was a Mockingbird. It wasn't actually a Forsaken Miner. This. I think they'll have a removal spell, and then I'll lose both of my flyers here, I think, is the way this is going to end. They could also try to prioritize their menace creature here. And then just like... Okay, that makes sense. Not wanting to give me more of my flyers back to keep making tokens. Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's buy this back. Honestly, our win condition might be leveling that up all the way, to be honest. We could play Lily and minus, obviously. There's a lot of things we could do with this, but we're going to pass here. Like, a little part of me does want to bounce this token. Sure. Now we're in a really weird spot. Okay. Don't know if I agree with this. Throw a block here. Choose that as my blocks. Yeah, right. Here. Sure. Is it Lily plus time? Is it Lily minus time? Because then this will solve on her end step and it's not necessarily like that big of a deal. Maybe that's where I'm at. Because by the time that happens, I can level this up next turn and then bounce it before like they get to activate it, because it's activated as a sorcery. But I am going to try to close the door. We don't have much time, but we will have to close the door eventually. Now, worst case that they could do is they could play another one of these, and then they get another creature with that's suspected. Okay. As I do it, sure. That's the card we were afraid of. So now, like, the tutoring part's not even a big deal, really. I mean, obviously I have to block. There's not really a whole lot I could do. Sure.
Oh, that's my cue to leave.
Interesting. I don't know how to feel about this. Buy this back. Do I kill this? Well, all the skeletons get haste, right? But then they have to decide to activate this tutor and then go from there, right? Yeah, I guess so. Minus.
My way tend to off you go.
Otter's in. I mean, our prowess is getting close. And to pick this up, they take a little bit of damage, but that's obviously not the worst case scenario. And if they tutor, they kind of take an entire turn off to go grab another Corpse of the Lost. And now that they have one, it's like way less pressing to go get one. So I'm not even like necessarily worried about that. There's a tap haster. This might just be like, go grab an additional skeleton, right? Sure. Now they can pick up the corpse. Maybe they get a land here. We don't necessarily know. If they pick this up, I'd be surprised. Okay. If I level this to 6, I have exactly 2 mana to solve all my problems. Sure. That's up. We plus on Lily. We get rid of this. We see what they get rid of. Unsummon? You don't mean that. Now we're going to pass here. And now we have kind of the option with this town ain't big enough to cover everything. I wonder if unsummon's also what they grabbed there. And then they picked up that corpse and they were like, you know, maybe I did make a mistake. Yeah, because right now I don't necessarily feel that great about their hand. They go after Lily. What are the odds I kill him here? I don't know. But, I mean, I'm going to bounce the token, I guess. Do this. I need to kill that? I guess what? That's what? 6, 7, 8. So it's not close. I might as well kill that. Yeah, I just don't know if it necessarily matters. Okay. Yeah, I will start off with the Bandit's talent. Sure. On summon number 2. Liliana.
A fight?
Lust on Liliana.
You can win. Drop it.
What will they get rid of now? We do have to be careful because with unsummon, well, I guess I don't have any, right? No, there's one in there. We have to be careful of that. Unsummon, bring that back, play it. Do I have to keep 2 creatures back? I shouldn't have to. No, I have to, actually. But if I do that, am I not just losing? Well, this is 3 mana, so it's not like that's an option. And to commit a crime, they'd have to... I'm double attacking. I don't know. I feel like double attacking is the right move. There's a land, not great. Obviously, that would have been discarded to Liliana. Second corpse. Okay. Where is this going? No, we block. Because then we get this last card out of their hand. I guess we get it regardless, but okay. So here, and they die here, right? Plus, I guess I mean it's 4 damage. What am I doing? Just kill. Okay, sweet. I don't know how we grinded that game out. I felt like the problem with corpse, I guess if they would have played a corpse a lot earlier, we would have found ourselves in a lot of problems. Get to kind of play these, play like this out, maybe pick up some nonsense, go from there. If this is truly blue-white, okay, it's something. I don't know. Could be just guy control, but it also could be just guy convoke. And sometimes you kind of have to play the lanes you have. Okay, they hit the timer and they made it play. Okay. Well, we have Reanimator. So it is maximum pressure, I think. Until we fold under a temporary lockdown, of course. Here. And here we go. And then obviously I think I'm going to ninjutsu in a Kaito if I'm allowed. But temporary lockdown most likely? No. Okay. I don't know what Reanimator type deck this is, but it definitely is one. They discarded 5 cards. Nice. Don't
be jealous of my time. Just in time to save your...
Going to try to ride the Kaito to victory, I guess.
I just hate a fair fight.
Again, I think this is a situation where we have to be max effort, you know? With this many surveil lands, it feels like it's the reenact a crime list. You know what I mean? Fine. We can play this and it not be turned on, which is pretty sick. We do play it. We plus here. We move to combat. We hit for 5. We're going to play a talent, flash in the Drowner, play a Liliana for prowess, and try to hope that closes the game. Is our plan. Honestly. I feel as though this is like a reenact a crime deck, but I just don't know. Repair and recharge. Okay. It is that version of the deck. Fair enough. That makes sense. Of course it's on top, dude. Like, What? Oh, we're getting bullied, bro. Yeah, you got it, brother. I'm not even staying around. I don't care. When you have the reanimate spell and you get to bring an play it, and then an omniscience is on top of your library, you're the best in the game. You deserve to win. I don't know. All right, so that's gonna do it for me today. Outside of getting wombo comboed out of the last game, I feel like my luck has ran out and I should retire now. So we should just give it up, right? Like, we should go ahead and sign in. But yeah, I mean, I played this deck quite often. I played it pretty frequently, and I've just enjoyed the way that it's played overall. Just like kind of the synergies that it has. We kind of went down a little on it just to go up on a little bit more of the play action that we get off of like this town ain't big enough, and also the Stormchaser's talent. I do think this town has been great, just kind of resetting things or like bouncing the tokens we can't necessarily answer or things like that. So it's been so good for us, and I've liked that a lot. But outside of that, we are the traditional kind of enchantment deck that comes in. We went up on the trackers, back on 4 lilies, because if we do make them discard everything, having the 4 lilies and ulting them is just obviously incredible, and that's what our main game plan is here. So that's what we want to do. So with that said, that's going to do it for me. Not a long outro. We've played this deck quite a few times, so we probably know what it's about. And with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.